vecine. S-a pus soarele să jure, s-a pus soarele să jure că nu-i dragoste pe lume, că nu-i dragoste pe lume. Iar luna ce-i zicea, dar soare nu mai jura, nu știi ce-i dragostea. Răsai de dimineață și apoi seara pe ceață. Eu răsar la miezul nopții și văd firul tinereții, și văd firul tinereții. Eu răsar la miez de noapte și văd dragostile toate, și văd dragostile toate.
Lačo dives Romale, adeo Michael, pale London. Good morning Roma, it's Michael from London and today we're gonna speak in English, so I do apologize for people who doesn't speak English. We have to speak in English because we will speak about the English gypsies and Roma and Travellers, and I will have a special guest today. It is a Finn. Now I have it on the phone. Good afternoon, Finn. Thank you for taking the phone call.
Good morning, Michael. Or afternoon.
Good afternoon. You are the chairman of the new organization which is called National Gypsy-Travellers and Roma Council. So I'm pleased that you took our invitation to the radio today. And I would like to,
yes.
If you can just briefly, dear Finn, if you can just briefly introduce your new national council.
Yeah, the National Gypsy-Traveller Roma Council evolved out of the old Gypsy Council, which we felt wasn't very inclusive of the new dynamics of people in the UK. We wanted to include both Roma people and the Parvi people. The Parvi people are the ethnic minority who are also known as Irish Travellers, although the Irish Travellers have been in the UK over 1,000 years, so they're not very new, but they've been misrepresented as gypsies for 500-600 years.
Right.
So we 80% of the old Gypsy Council evolved into the National Gypsy-Traveller Roma Council, and we've been carrying out good work and representing our members to the authorities in the UK.
Good. That's great. This is good. This is good for step forward to include all groups in one council and to have the name also in the organization. So, what are the actual issues facing the Gypsies, Travellers, and Pavi community living in this country in United Kingdom?
Well, in the UK, the most important issue is the theme of equality. Still, the Gypsy, Pavi, Roma don't have equality with the wider society. We're looked upon as lesser people, lesser citizens. We're actually looked upon as some kind of burden, very much as the Roma are in Europe. It's the same continuance in the UK. People have this imagination that the UK is any different from the wider Europe when it comes to Gypsy, Traveller, Roma, but it isn't. We're still looked upon as second-class citizens who are not worth legislating for offering the hand of equality or even friendship to. So we do have that. Sorry. So the main issue for the Gypsy, Traveller, Roma in the UK is equality. We are ethnic minority. We are considered that, yet we still struggle for equality. Yeah. Well, you're quite right. Equality does cover an awful lot of ground. But if we take the example of equality in regards to racial discrimination, now in the UK, there's many laws in place with regards to racial discrimination, and you would think that with those laws in place, there'd be no discrimination, but yet actually there is. The Pavi, Gypsy, Roma in this country do not get treated in the same way as the other ethnic minorities, the Black, Asian, or indeed the general population and society. So we don't have that type of equality in regards to protection from racial discrimination. I mean, that's just one point. Yes. We also have the situation in regards to housing and accommodation. You still have a situation in the UK where Gypsy, Traveller, Roma are looked upon as people that other people from the wider society don't want to live with. They don't want them as neighbours. They don't want them living next door to them. They don't want them living in their town. In some extreme cases, they don't want them to even live in their city. So you have that as well on top. So again, the equality situation covers quite a massive ground of discrimination, and it does all come down to discrimination.
Yeah, it's sad that actually that Gypsies, Travellers and Roma are facing this issue in United Kingdom, which actually this country is based on human rights. This country is based on justice and equality. So it's really tragic to hear these things, and and I hope that in the future these things gonna be improved. In terms of housing and the cultural right, because I'm aware, and you are the leader of your organization, that Gypsies, Travellers and Pavi are claiming the cultural right, which is actually the nomadic culture, which has been with Gypsies and Travellers for more than 1,000 years. So what is the main issue? The council doesn't want to give a property to Gypsies and Travellers. They don't want to give us the right for accommodation. Or what are the main crucial issues?
Well, there was a time when Gypsies and Travellers could just move around the country and they'd be tolerated, although they'd be stopping in places where other people wouldn't want to live, such as industrial estates, out in fields, sewage farms, next to chemical works. But as time went on, the government decided, or the country decided, that councils had an obligation to, in very much the same way they have an obligation to build houses for people to live in, they also had an obligation to provide sites for travellers to live on or base on. Travellers like to base up from November to March, and then after that they like to be on the roads, travelling up and down the country, carrying out work, making their money. So the councils did used to carry out the work, or they were obliged to. They never did. There's not many sites in the whole of the UK for travellers, whereas there's many council properties and government properties where people can live in. They didn't keep up the pace with the sites. In 1994, Michael Howard, who was then the member of the cabinet, the Tory cabinet, decided that the obligation for the councils to provide sites and accommodation for travellers, gypsies and travellers, could be done away with. But the travellers could go and buy their own land and live on it. Now, this is what travellers did. Travellers went and bought the land, moved onto it, thinking they could live there, only for the local council, not the national government, but the local council, the local government, to say they didn't have planning permission to live on their own land. So they were kicked off their own land. And then their own land was confiscated to pay for the eviction. We had a situation in Dale Farm in Basildon where people were living on an old scrapyard, which the council used to use. But as soon as the travellers bought it and turned it into a settlement of 400 people, and these are mostly retired people, single parents, single mothers whose partners had died, and children, 400 people, they decided that suddenly this was greenbelt land and the travellers weren't allowed to live there anymore. So after 10 years and many, many court appearances, they basically, with the police and the bailiffs, they attacked the people on the site. And I was there, I actually saw what happened. People were tasered, people were hit with truncheons and iron bars by the police and bailiffs, and the people were put on the side of the road, which then meant the council now had different travellers travelling up and down the roads because they couldn't live on their own land. So this is what's happening in the UK. The UK, as soon as a traveller puts in for planning permission in the UK, they find out that they're not allowed to live on their land. The local people say no. The councils who want to be voted back in, the councillors who want to be voted back in, agree with that. And the people lose their land, lose their money, and are left on the side of the road and are then harassed by the same council to be moved on. So people are constantly having to move from area to area to area, and the children are not getting school. The people are not being able to get to hospital appointments or get to doctors, can't have dentists, all because they're considered second-class citizens. And this is in the UK, and as you mentioned, the UK is part of the human rights and part of the EU as it stands, and part of many different organisations and many different types of authorities that believe that people do have a right to live and to a home. Yet the Gypsy Traveller Roma in this country don't have that equality, even though in theory we're entitled to it. We don't have it. And that's basically what the National Gypsy Traveller Roma Council are fighting for. We're fighting for equality. Because if you get equality in one thing, you're entitled to equality in everything. And that's why we fight so strenuously for that.
Okay, thank you. What about hate? I have heard some reports, those NGOs who are working with gypsies and travelers in the UK, they are doing some stuff in terms of providing the number or landline to gypsies and travelers who they can report some hate. Do you have some experience that someone already did it and someone was prosecuted, that someone said to gypsies and travel community something very racist and the person was punished?
Well, it's very rare. Very, very rare. I mean, if we talk about the NGOs first of all, there's a lot of disappointments with the NGOs in the UK.
Semi in Europe.
The NGO.
The semi in Europe.
I suppose it's right the way across Europe and the UK. But specify the UK.
All right.
You find most of the large organisations are not actually run by gypsies, travellers or Roma. They have English people or Irish people or Scottish people or Welsh people actually running these organisations, and they're not training our people to take over these organisations when they step down. So our organisations, the NGOs, the large ones, which are sucking up all the funding, are actually businesses run by non-gypsy traveller Roma. So although they do carry out good work, and they carry out and they lobby the governments and they carry out all this work, they should be empowering the very people they're there to try and help. Instead of that, there seems to be a glass ceiling in place where travellers can't get above that. Now, in regards to the hate crime, yes, I mean, reporting hate crime is only a statistic. It only allows that organisation to contact the government or someone and pass on, 2017, there was, 63 reports of racism against Gypsy traveller Roma. But then nothing seems to be done with that. So it is just a way of, I mean, it's better than nothing, of course, but it's just a way of collecting statistics. I'm only aware of, in 2013, I'm not sure of the date, it might have been 2013, where a man in Lewis in Sussex was arrested and convicted of using the term pikey.
Good.
Pikey is a derogatory term used against Gypsy traveller Roma. It's a term that basically, there's a lot of interpretation of what's...
Hello? Yeah? I lost... Hello? Sorry. We have some technical issues with Finn, so I'm gonna call him again. One moment. This is Finn of Richingen, the chairman of the National Gypsy Roma Traveller Council. I call him again because something has happened with his connection. I'm calling him on mobile phone, so please bear with me. All right. Okay. So charger has gone mobile. Yeah, it's ringing. It's ringing.
Hello?
Sorry, Finn, I lost you. Something happened with the connection.
I can't hear you very well, Michael.
Yeah, sorry, I lost you. So can you hear me better now?
I can't hear you. I can hear a noise, but I can't hear your voice.
Oh, sorry. Sorry for it. So...
I can't hear.
Sorry for it. We have some technical issues with our Skype. Technical issues. I'm sorry for it. We're gonna improve it, and soon in 1 minute I'm gonna be back. So keep tuned.
Anda Egipto, anda al vas de faraonoske. Pjamenske pisar da samenode, anda Elunja, anda al vas de dušmanoske. Na istoke de la, na istoke de laske anda Elunja ekali, anda Tunjariko, anda Laganame, Laganame trajo, deixai traide la leche se vas. Na isto que de la, na isto que anda Elunja ekali, anda Tunjariko, anda jasne Židano, anda Egipto, anda vazle faraonoske. Ai vjamenske pisar da samelode, anda Elumja, anda vazle dušmanoske. Na istuke devla, na istuke devlaske pisar da name, anda Elumja ekali, anda tunjariko, anda ladaname, hajdaname trajo, tešaj trajim devlande česmence vas. Na istuke devla, na istuke devlaske pisar da name, anda Elumja ekali, anda tunjariko, anda ladaname, hajdaname trajo, tešaj trajim devlande česmence vas. Na istuke devla, na istuke devlaske pisar da name, anda Elumja ekali, anda tunjariko, anda ladaname, hajdaname trajo, tešaj trajim devlande česmence vas. Na istuke devla, na istuke devlaske pisar da name, anda Elumja ekali, anda tunjariko, anda ladaname, hajdaname trajo, tešaj trajim devlande česmence vas. Na istuke devla, na istuke devlaske pisar da name, anda Elumja ekali, anda tunjariko, anda ladaname, hajdaname trajo, tešaj trajim devlande česmence vas. Ande česmence vas, ande česmence vas, ande česmence vas. Na istuke devla, na istuke devlaske pisar da name, anda Elumja ekali, anda tunjariko, anda ladaname, hajdaname trajo, tešaj trajim devlande česmence vas.
Ricardo Květ, Rom, Sinti Rom from Germany, who is also pastor, leading pastor in the new religion called Pentecostal. And I'm back I sorted out these technical issues with our computer. So now I have again Finn in the radio. And we have been speaking with Finn. Finn is chairman of the National Gypsy-Travellers and Roma Council. And we have been speaking about the 10 Pikey. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Yes, the term pikey, as I was saying before we had the technical difficulties, is a very derogatory term. It basically points out that the people termed that are low-caste people. They're thieves, people that can't be trusted. I believe the equivalent might be in Europe as Zagani.
Yeah.
That's the type of name that's pikey. Is a British term that's similar to Zagani. And there was only one person I know who has been arrested for that and convicted of that. And ironically enough, he wasn't even talking to Gypsy Traveller Romas when he called the person. He was actually calling it to a woman who's from an English woman. But because he was using that term, he was arrested and convicted of using the term. So it is a controversial term. And yet, you can turn the telly on and see it mentioned on programs quite regularly. These ridiculous soap operas such as EastEnders and Coronation Street, but mostly the London type soaps, they use the term quite regularly. Yeah, it's like using the N word for a black person or the P word for a Pakistani person.
Yeah.
It is a derogatory term. Yet when it comes down to Gypsy Traveller Roma, it seems it's allowed to be used against us, and no one cares too much about it. Many years ago, the Commission for Racial Equality stated that the last bastion of racial discrimination in this country was the Gypsy Traveller Roma. That people can still be racist against us, and the governments and the police and everyone else does nothing about it. So these organisations, the NGOs, who are collecting these complaints, it's a paper work, it's a paper trail, it's all about statistics. What will come out of those statistics, I don't really know. Nothing's come out of them yet. So we could be collecting statistics of discrimination against Gypsy Traveller Roma for the rest of our lives. That doesn't mean anything's going to be done about it. So if you're talking now, as I know we are, about the election, we have a situation where Gypsy Traveller Roma who can vote have to look at which party is actually going to stand up for us, who's going to represent us, who's going to give us the rights that we're supposed to have, yet we don't actually have. We have them in theory, but we don't have them in practice. We're told we're not supposed to be discriminated against, and yet we are. So we need a party that is going to defend us. Now, I'm not too sure the UKIP will do that. I'm not too sure the Tories will do that, or the Green Party, or any of them. I think what we have to do is we have to look to see who is saying they will help us, who will say they will give us equality. And they're the people we should be considering for the votes. If they're not going to help us, or if even in some of the cases they're actually going to work against us, so that we're again going to lose even more ground of the equality that we fought for over 50 years, then we really do need to start looking for our own representatives to start standing. We need our young to be educated to the point where they can stand for parliaments. At the moment, there's no Gypsies, no Parvi, no Roma in parliaments. There's very rarely any of them in local governments. And we do really need to start getting our children educated and get them pushed forward. At the moment, this country doesn't have anything in place to help our educated children to be put into politics to represent us. It's almost, again, as if we don't count. And that's what it actually comes to in this country when it comes to Gypsy Traveller Roma. We don't count. We're outcasts. We're people that no one considers and looks at. And we've got to change that. And the way we change that is we've got to start working together. Because as a divided communities, we have no strength. If we come together, there's over 500,000 Gypsy Traveller Roma in this country. That is a massive voting bloc. That is a massive amount of people that we can put on the streets that can protest that we're not getting equality, that we're not being treated as first-class citizens. But to do that, we have to come together. All the people that have argued in the past have to put their arguments to the side. We have to sit down with each other and start organising so that we do have a strong voice. Because it's only the strong people with the strong voices and the communities with the strong voices that will be listened to. We've got to actually look at and copy the black voice in this country. They were discriminated in very much the same way we were.
Yeah.
Yet they've made it now impossible to discriminate against them officially. We've got to copy them. We've got to unite like them, and we've got to come out and say we are human beings. We are equals. We want equality. Until we do that, we are going to be picked on and just treated as dirt, which, as you know, that's what they think of us.
In terms of those political parties, actually the Labour Party in their manifesto, I don't know if you are aware, in their manifesto they already pledged to protect the right of nomadic way of life. So it is there.
Yeah.
So I hope
I think that has very much come from Jeremy Corbyn.
I think also
because I think what we do have is there's a lot of Labour MPs who very much have the same idea of Gypsy Traveller Roma as Tory MPs and as UKIP.
Yeah.
It's just that they don't say it because it mean that they wouldn't get the votes, and it actually go against their principles,
Exactly.
which they're supposed to have. But when you have someone like Jeremy Corbyn as some of the good ones within the Labour Party, and they're not all good within the Labour Party, you have the top Labour Party hierarchy trying to get rid of Jeremy Corbyn. So they're not all there in agreement with what he says. But I think that the Labour Party are saying they will, in their manifesto, that they will help us and support us in our lives. Then we have to accept that might be the party to look at. But I don't think we should accept that these parties 100% mean what they say in the manifesto. Because all manifestos, usually after the election, the actual points and policies in them get ignored. But I do think with Jeremy Corbyn, he does mean what he says. And if he does get it as PM, then I think he will stick to his manifesto, and especially to the manifesto in regards to Gypsy Traveller Roma. As you know, he marched with us from Trafalgar Square to Downing Street to hand in a letter to David Cameron with regards to attacks on the Gypsy Traveller Roma in the UK. We never got an answer to that letter.
no.
And that's, 2-3 years ago. They never bothered to reply to us.
Yeah, but
So,
sorry, Finn.
Sorry.
But you are right. But when we done another march, it was I think it was in last year, 2016. The MP Jim Carver from UK party, he delivered the letter, similar letter, which we have been asking, and that time was it that time David Cameron still? Yes, that time was still David Cameron, because it was not. It was before Brexit referendum, and he replied. He replied that time. He replied to Toma Nikolaev from Roma London Group to this Bulgarian Roma. They replied, but when we have been together, Gypsy Council, the old Gypsy Council, you, Pavi, all Roma, Balázs, and all these people in 2013, 2014, we didn't, and especially with Jeremy Corbyn, we stood there we didn't get any reply. So it's really strange why David Cameron replied on the letter from UKIP, who was delivered the letter from the UKIP, and he didn't reply to us. So it's really strange. I don't know. It's some kind of political game.
Yeah, it is. I think UKIP are more closer to the Tories than they are to Labour. So
definitely.
This would almost be a sub-party of the Conservative Party, and I don't think a lot of people have gone into that and looked at that. As regards to Jim Carver, he has spoke at Gypsy and Traveller Roma meetings, and the point he has gone from, although he is an MEP for the UKIP, he's also a Gypsy, and he has also a Romani. He's also stood up at the EU parliaments and demanded that there was equality shown to Gypsy Traveller Roma in Europe and in the UK. So, regardless of which party they belong to, if they're asking to help us, or looking to help us, and looking to us to gain the equality, because that's what we need. The equality, everything falls into place if we get the same equality as everyone else. Until we get that, we're going to struggle. But anyone that can help us get that equality, we should listen to them. And we should be ready to work with them to help us get the equality we're entitled to.
But actually, UKIP, Paul Natal UK party actually has been talking against us. They have been talking in their manifesto. They are talking about abounding this gypsy travel right for the culture. So Jim Carver, as an MEP, he is like a rebel in the UK party because actually the party is saying something else, and he, as a member of European Parliament, he defends the traditional way of life, traditional cultural right of gypsy travel. So it's really strange for me because I thought that UK will not saying these things when they have when they have someone like Jim Carver in the party, but they done it in their manifesto. They are against gypsies and travellers in the UK.
Yeah.
So it's really strange.
I think Jim Carver will defend gypsies and travellers because he's from the community, and I think that's the issue he has. And because he is from the community and he is fighting for us, we have to respect him for that, and we have to help him if we can. As for the UKIP and its manifesto, of course, they're very much against gypsy traveller Roma. And if the Tories were being honest in their own manifesto, they'd have something very much the same, because they are also against the gypsy traveller Roma. They just hide the fact that they are. So we're in a situation where people voting have to, from the gypsy traveller community, gypsy traveller Roma community, have to look at who they're voting for, and not so much about the general things like, will they give me more money? Will I get better doctors? Will I get better nurses? What they've really got to look at is will they support my community and allow us to live our lives? Because that's how basic it comes down to for our communities. It's going to be, are we going to be treated as equals? That is the main thing that we've got to look at. And we've got to look at which party is saying we will treat gypsy traveller Roma as equals to everybody else in this country. And that's our main voting situation. That's what we're going to look at. We can't be too interested in all the other stuff that the people vote for. People say, I'm going to vote for this party because they're going to cut my tax and I will have to pay less tax. We can't consider any of that. What we've got to consider is who's going to allow us to get equality. And that party that's going to allow us to be treated as equals is the party we should be voting for. And at the moment, there only seems to be one party that is stating they will respect our way of life. So in the end, it's a no-brainer. But, people will vote the way they like.
Hopefully everything will be fine. I will ask Roma pastors to pray that we will have tomorrow good results, because it's really, when I'm watching the polls, it's really tough. So it might be the results will. I personally think that the results will be similar like in Brexit referendum, where was only 4%. The how we call it in English, division. That 4% was only. I forgot it. Sorry. English is not my first language, but anyway.
No, that's fine. No, you're doing well. But what I would say is that regardless of the results tomorrow, and regardless of what government is in, the gypsy traveller Roma will still survive. We survived centuries and centuries and centuries of persecution. We will still survive. We will still go on, and we will become radicalised to fight for our equality in this country. And we do that very simple by coming together and protesting peacefully, because you never see gypsy traveller or Roma out on the streets rioting. We're quiet people, and we can protest peacefully and ask people to give us the same rights that everybody else has. And the way to do that is all the organisations come together, work together, and put our views across and ask for what we're entitled to. And that's all we can do.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Finn, for this short briefing and for your time. Also, in the future, what is the plan of the... I hope that your organization will come to the event on the 2nd of August, and we're going to work together on the 2nd of August and bring as much as possible to people.
Well, as you know, the old Gypsy Council used to facilitate the Holocaust Roma Remembrance Day in Hyde Park. And this year, the National Gypsy-Traveller Roma Council, we want to, not just us facilitate it, we want to bring all Roma organisations into it, so we all work together and everyone's represented there, so everyone has an equal responsibility to be there and to have their own voices and to bring the musicians and to celebrate the remembrance of the victims of the Holocaust.
Yeah.
So it won't be just one organisation organising it ourselves. We want to bring everyone that's interested in working with us, so we all do it together.
All right. Thank you, Phil.
Okay, Michael.
Yeah, thank you for your time, and thank you to speaking in our radio. And we'll speak again soon, Ian. Thank you.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye for
Thank
now.
you very much. Thank you.
And I have a Peter Janov who is with me in the studio. Hello, Peter, and we're gonna change our language so you will understand for Czech and Slovak Roma, because as I can see, people don't understand. Our people who are living in this country have problems to understand in English. So this might be our own issue of the Roma migrants living in Europe, living in the United Kingdom. We Roma migrants have a problem with the language. We need to catch up more and quicker to get the English. I'm here in this country 10 years, and I still struggle to speak sometimes, in English, but I'm learning. And this is what I only suggest to everyone: learn English if you want to live in this country. So, tak právě teď změním jazyk do češtiny a budeme se mluvit česky. Omlouvám se, že jsme mluvili s angličtině, ale měli jsme tady hosta, pana předsedu národní organizace Gypsy Roma-Travellers, která přebrala vlastně ten zastaralý Gypsy Council, který fungoval přes 50 let, z důvodu, že chtěli, aby všichni komunity z té romské komunity byly inkluzivní a omlouvám se, nemůžu pořádně dýchat. Já předám slovo panu Petrovi Janovi, protože my jsme se dneska chtěli bavit o problémech, které vlastně Gypsy Roma Traveller mají v Anglii. Zítra máme volby a jediná vlastně politická strana, která podporuje Romy a Gypsy Travellers, jak už Finn zmínil, je Labour Party pod vedením Jeremyho Corbyna. Já předám panu Janovi slovo, jestli se nám k tomu může vyjádřit, k této politické situaci a k těm volbám. Ano?
Ano. Chci popřát všem posluchačům hezký den a jsem moc rád, že můžeme společně diskutovat o tak závažném tématu, jako jsou parlamentní volby, a to volby tady v UK, v Anglii, a chci je všechny srdečně pozdravit a děkuji za prostor tobě, Michale, že se k tomu mohu vyjádřit. Tak především jsem chtěl říct pár myšlenek, které se vlastně jsou aktuální, a to je právě ta situace, kdy zítra jsou volby v Anglii, ale v posledních 3-4 měsících vnímáme celou politickou situaci tady v United Kingdom jako velice zvláštní, protože paní premiérka Theresa May vyhlásila předčasné volby před několika vlastně týdny, můžeme říct asi před 2 měsíci, a vlastně teď začala před měsícem a něco volební kampaň. Celá Anglie tím žije, všechny regiony vlastně jsou nastartované tak, že kandidáti pracují a hovoří s lidmi, setkávají se a hlavně představují všechny ty politické subjekty, představují své programy. Jak už si říkal sám, Jeremy Corbyn a Labour Party se staví k mezinárodním komunitám, které žijí v United Kingdom, tak se staví velice pozitivně, velice tolerantně, a je to politická strana, která v sobě zahrnuje univerzalitu po dlouhá desetiletí ke všem občanům Anglie, ke všem lidem, kteří se sem přistěhovali z jakýchkoliv důvodů, jestli kvůli válce nebo nějakých individuálních, zvláštních i závažných příběhů těch rodin nebo těch lidí. A proto je potřeba tyto věci a program politiky Labour Party vnímat velice pozitivně. stavět se k této politice správně a můžeme říct i upřímně děkovat za tyto politické šance pro všechny občany. Ano, konzervativní strana pracuje podobně, ale my vnímáme v posledních 3 až 4 letech, že konzervativní strana se trošku více staví jakoby radikálněji k těm lidem, kteří sem přicházejí a můžeme říci, že v některých oblastech zasáhla více ve svých postojích, ve svých i zákonných úpravách k menšinám, k občanům, které jsou z Evropské unie, tedy ze států, které jsou členy Evropské unie, jako je Česko, Polsko, Německo a tak dál, Slovensko. A tyto občané, kteří si vybrali Anglii, United Kingdom jako svůj stát, kde žijí, tak pocítili určité, jak bych to řekl, můžeme říct, nechci říct problémy, ale určité tlaky, které je dostali do situací, kdy v některých situacích tito lidé ztratili větší šanci se tady uplatnit. A to je ten moment, který vlastně se teď má nějakým způsobem zlepšit. Jestli vyhraje zítra nebo pár hodin, 10-20 hodin se zjistí, kdo vyhraje, jestli to budou konzervativci nebo Labour Party, nebo ještě jiná strana může uspět velkými procenty z toho koalice politická, tak to musíme nechat na anglických voličích, na všech voličích, kteří mají právo volit a držme palce Labour Party a držme palce svobodě, držme palce demokracii a držme palce všem lidem, které tady chtějí žít v míru, v pokoji, v toleranci, v multikulturálním duchu a to je ta síla, která vlastně z anglického království a z anglického státu vlastně dělá něco univerzálního po dlouhá desetiletí. Tohle jsem říkal jenom na úvod a jsem rád, že jsem to mohl trošku otevřít ze široka, protože anglické téma volby je potřeba otevřít do široka. A víte, jak jsi sám říkal, tak jediné město v celém United Kingdom, vlastně v celé Anglii, před rokem, minulý rok v květnu, vlastně uspělo v takzvaných komunálních volbách. Takže místní government, lokální government je složený předsedou místního parlamentu, je předsedou pána, nebudu říkat jméno, ale je to reprezentant UKIPu a toto politické hnutí vlastně vytvořilo svoji místní vládu a vládnou tady. Já, abych byl objektivní, tak mnoho lidí, skoro nikdo, nepocítil nějaký tlak nebo něco, co by je poškodilo na jejich právech nebo něco, co by je nějak dostalo do nějaký deprese a lidi by tady se zjistili, že jsou nějak diskriminovaní. Nic jsem neslyšel, ani jsem nic nezachytil, ale musím říci jednu věc, že ten duch té otevřenosti, která byla ještě donedávna, kdy tady vládla Labour Party, tak pro komunity, jak Poláky, Čechy, Slováky a tak dál, byl takový otevřenější. Dělo se tady víc akcí, kde tito naši evropští spoluobčané z Čech, Polska, jak už jsem říkal, Slovenska, se více angažovali v určitých kulturně multikulturních akcích. A toto tady teď vlastně poslední rok se zastavilo. Já sám se neangažuju tak veřejně, jak jsem se angažoval, spíše se teďka zaobírám věcmi přípravou na další nějaké politické aktivity, na pozvednutí té naší komunity z Čech a Slovenska, protože s nimi hodně spolupracuji i s Poláky, ale celá ta věc kolem UKIPu je docela zvláštní. Můžeme říct, že ten poslední jejich úspěch byl fenomenem na základě toho, že to byla velká propaganda, kdy se strašilo s Evropskou unií, kdy se strašilo s menšinama, kdy se strašilo i s jinýma závažnýma problémama, které ano, tady rezonují. Vidíme, že v celé západní Evropě ta imigrantská vlna vytvořila určité nové pohledy na ty menšiny, nové sociální, politické i demografické problémy, které vlastně souvisí s tou válkou v Sýrii a v Iráku a tak dále, kde vlastně existují tyto velké vojensko-politické problémy, které vlastně zasahují 100 000 lidí, kteří opouští svůj stát, svoji zemi kvůli válce, kvůli utrpení, kdy ztratili své příbuzní, ztratili své děti, rodiny a tito lidé se rozhodli utéct si ze svých vlastní a hledají pomoc a záchranu svého života v těchto demokratických státech. A UKIP tyto věci negativizuje, UKIP tyto věci vlastně kritizuje a vlastně opomíná lidská práva. Ano. A my víme, že Anglie, že anglické království, že anglická ústava, zákony jsou prvořadě postaveny na ochranu lidských práv a ochranu demokracie. To je důležité, aby každý, kdo poslouchá toto rádio, aby si uvědomil, že vláda, jakákoliv vláda na tom stála. Ano, už jsou určité pohledy, kdy to trošku se snižuje ta kvalita, ale jestli mohou vzpomenout vládu Tony Blaira, premiéra, tak za jeho doby Anglie byla viditelným vůdcem Evropské unie, byla viditelnou silou v celé Evropě i ve světě a byla lídrem v celé západní Evropě.
Doufám, že se to změní, že Labour Party zvítězí a stane se to samé. Co to znamená pro naše Romy, když zvítězí Labour Party? Když zvítězí zase konzervativci? Jaký to bude mít dopad na naše český, slovenský nebo přistěhovalský Romy z jiných evropských států? Petře.
Ano, tato otázka je velice dobrá a kvalitní a jsem rád, že si ji položil, protože si musíme uvědomit, že už vlastně minulý rok, vzhledem tomu, že prošel Brexit, bylo referendum a právě v rámci toho referenda se otevřelo se více vrátek na snižování toho přistěhovalectví, jak toho legálního, tak i toho nelegálního. Samozřejmě ten nelegální je potřeba, aby se stále nějakým způsobem snižoval. Ale jestliže občané z Evropské unie, jako jsou všechny těch 27 dalších států, pociťují v některých oblastech jakoby nějakou trošku menší sympatii k těmto lidem, tak toto je určitý krok toho, že ti lidé, kteří jsou řádnými občany států, kteří jsou členy Evropské unie, tak tito občané Evropské unie, protože my všichni jsme občani Evropské unie, ale žijeme v těch státech, které jsme si vybrali, tak pocitujeme určitou oslabení svého postavení. Oslabení právě toho občana, evropského občana. Je? A proto je potřeba toto vnímat jako určitou ztrátu. A jestliže angličtí občané minulý rok si zvolili v 52% to, že vystoupí z Evropské unie, tak tam hrálo mnoho závažných faktorů ten výsledek. Ale jeden nebo dva byly uměle vyvolány. Byla to propaganda a tisíce lidí, můžeme říct 100 000 lidí, a to je právě těch 48% bylo proti referendu. A když přišel Brexit, za 24 hodin nebo za 60 hodin nebo 70 hodin, tak teprve lidé, někteří si uvědomili, že Brexit je něco, co zúží prostor pro samotné Angličany, pro samotné anglické království, pro samotnou politiku Anglie. Ty víš sám, že já pracuji sociologicky a můj pohled na tyto politické věci je totožný s pohledem Labour Party, s určitými významnými filozoficko-politickými směry, které jasně dokázaly definovat, že Brexit byla chyba.
Ano, ale co se týče Labour Party, zase Jeremy Corbyn je pro Brexit a hlasovali Labour Party, když hlasovali, tak hlasovali pro Brexit, protože nechtěli prostě, aby jim ta Evropská unie furt rozkazovala do té Anglie. Chtěli prostě aby si vládli ve svým vlastním státě, tak jak to bylo předtím. Co se týče třeba další politické strany, liberální demokratů, ty pokud by zvítězili, ale oni asi nezvítězí, oni většinou nikdy nezvítězí, liberální demokrati mají strašně malý procenta v parlamentu, ty by chtěli udělat druhý referendum. Myslíte si, Petře, že by bylo dobré, kdyby náhodou Labour Party zvítězila a pod Jeremy Corbynem, že bychom mohli přesvědčit, že pana Corbyna a ostatní, společně s ostatními Brity, protože i Britové jsou nešťastní z toho, co se děje, že vlastně nepatří do té Evropské unie, že by mohlo vzniknout znova druhý referendum, který by vlastně mělo rozhodnout, protože přece jenom 4% rozdíl, jako tady to není moc, 4% mezi 48 a 52 a 4% rozdíl není přece nějaký velký procento voličů. Pro mě samotného jako většina by byla jako nějakých 60-70%. 4% je opravdu jako málo na to, aby...
Já, jestli dovolíš, tak na to odpovím asi takto trochu diplomaticky, protože se snažím, aby ten rozhovor dneska mezi tebou a mnou o těchto závažných tématech měl trošku vyšší kvalitu, než když nás mluví hodně lidí o stejném tématu. Tak bych chtěl říct si toto. Ano, sám vlastně lídr Labour Party Mr. Jeremy Corbyn, byl člověk, který vlastně dal prostor a svobodu tomu referendu tak, že ho nenegoval, že ho nebrzdil. To znamená, že to je politik, který dal opravdu svobodu těm všem voličům, kteří se rozhodli. A jestliže vidíme, že 52% a něco lidí přiklonilo k tomu referendu, tak oni ho ponechali, on nikdy neřekl, že ho vrátí, on nechce, aby to tak bylo, protože v rámci té svobodné volby anglických voličů je to správné. A já, když se na to podívám z toho analytického proevropského pohledu, nejenom pro anglického, z toho anglického, to je to, co jsem teď řekl, co myslí pan Jeremy Corbyn, tak i jiní politici se k tomu stavili tak, že byli proti referendu a už nyní někteří se vyjadřují, jako například Skotsko nebo určitá část oblast Anglie, kde vlastně poukazují na to, že by klidně se odpojili, oddělili se od anglického království, osamostatnili se a vydali by se zpátky do vlastně smlouvy jako členský stát nebo nějaké území zpátky do Evropské unie. A vidíme, že to je velice, velice závažná politická otázka, ne pro Evropskou unii, ale pro samotnou vládu anglickou, ať je to jakákoliv, ať to bude vláda Jeremy Corbyna, nebo teďka současné paní premiérky Theresa May. A proto je potřeba vnímat jednu věc, a to řeknu závěrečným slovem. Je to, prosím tě, Michale, je to proces a tento proces se musí nechat do té doby, dokud sami lidé, společnosti, určité oblasti regionální politiky se spojí, protože to je dialog. Dialog je proces a v tom dialogu se může stát, že v průběhu, 10-15 měsíců, protože oni můžou opustit Evropskou unii během 2 let, může to být i do roka, ale vidíme sami, že teď jsou mimořádné volby, takže politika konzervativců, Toryů, je postavená tak, že když už jednou vlastně Toryové vyhráli Brexit, s Brexitem svoji novou vládu, tak chtějí mít i teďka silnější vládu i po Brexitu s tím, že ten Brexit je jako posílí. Ale my vidíme, že v posledních, nevím, od minulého května, vlastně je to rok, co se rozhodlo o Brexitu, tak vlastně paní premiérka i David Cameron, ještě před několika měsíci, vypadalo to, že jsou posíleni tím Brexitem. Ale pravda to není. Skutečnost ukazuje, že kdyby dostal pan Jeremy Corbyn větší prostor až do těch oficiálních voleb do roku 2020, tak jak to mělo být, tak by možná Toryové měli ještě méně procent, než mají procentuálně teď. Takže vidíme sami, že by oni si to uvědomují, Toryové, a vlastně udělali tu politiku tak, že udělali rychlý nový volby, mimořádné volby a tím chtějí teda prokázat, zda budou mít sílu dále vládnout, anebo oni přijdou. Vidíme sami, že včera byl 1 nebo 2 body, 2% body vedli. Možná dneska už je to na 40/40, když bych to řekl takhle. Nebo 30/30.
Takže tyhle ty volby budou opravdu těsný, tak jako bylo referendum, jako bylo ohledně Evropské unie, tak tyhle volby budou opravdu těsný a budou zítra. Petře, budeme muset končit. Já mám tady nějaké technické potíže, takže se všem posluchačům jinak omlouvám za dnešní vysílání, jestli slyšeli nějaké technické nedostatky. Je to způsobeno tím, že něco mám s internetem. Každopádně vám děkuju, Petře, taky děkuju panu Fínovi Oročingenovi, který mluvil anglicky, předseda Národní organizace Gypsy Travel a Romu tady v Británii. A já bych, Petře, byl rád, až teda dopadnou ty volby zítra, kdybychom se k tomu našemu tématu mohli znovu vrátit třeba v pátek brzo ráno a mohli bychom vysílat znova živě pátek ráno pro naše české, slovenské, romské migranty žijící v Británii podle volebních výsledků, jak dopadnou. Jestli budete mít čas, budeme rádi, když budete s námi.
Určitě, velice rád, jenom jestli dovolíte, tak bych chtěl říct, občani, kteří jsou z Evropské unie a mají anglické občanství taky, prosím, ať jdou volit, ať volí toho, koho chtějí, a když už teda jsme mluvili o takových sympatiích Labour Party, tak ať volí Labour Party stranu Jeremy Corbyna. Přeju všem podvečer a děkuji za rozhovor, Michale.
Děkuji taky. Děkuji taky všem a vy se mějte, přátelé, posluchači, jak chcete, přeju vám jenom to nejlepší a buďte s náma zase nikdy jindy na naslyšenou.